Caleb, and then there's Lee. Caleb is the teacher who is overly soft and really good and just trying to do the right thing, and he's maybe too far in that direction, especially at the start. And then there's Lee, who is so anti-hero that he's basically nearly a villain when it starts, and they're both trying to operate in the same world and survive and work together to keep everybody else alive. And the funny phenomenon is I have had people come up to me and say, "I really love your book, and I really, really love Caleb, but I can't stand Lee. I get through the chapters.
You did it.
Yeah, I get through the chapters. I enjoy them. They're really, really well written. But I can't stand Lee. He's better maybe towards the end of the book, but I just can't stand him." And I have other people come to me and say, I love your book. I really enjoyed it, but I hate Caleb. I just hate him. Can't stand him. Maybe he's better towards the end of the book. I'm liking him more, but I just don't like Lee. Caleb, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you that, but I like the book, but I just don't like Caleb. So it's funny that I get it from both sides.
Yeah. That's really funny. Well, I know we talked a lot, in the first interview, about like their characterization, their differences, but also, like some of their similarities. So, but I've read a few books recently where I could totally see that polarization, right?
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting based off of some of the feedback I've seen for you guys from different LitRPG groups or, stuff like that, where people have shared head of the class, and talked about the characters, those two characters quite a bit, what they did and didn't like. So I don't know. I think as long as you got them with one, right? Like
Yeah.
50-50 shot. So,
well,
and they're gonna keep reading. So
it's actually why I introduced. So I had Caleb, and I knew for the story, it was fantastic. I knew he was going to be a hard sell for LitRPG fans, for at least a very large section of especially the old school LitRPG fans. I knew he was going to be a hard sell. And more importantly, I knew he wasn't ready. So it was going to be a good while before he got into action and kicked ass and did anything that was in that regard. So I wanted to introduce Lee to show, hey, I'm able to write action. I'm able to write that exciting stuff. I like that stuff too. We can do badass characters. Just bear with me and we'll get there.
Well, but I think it is good though, because I'm going to bring up like Will White's Cradle, with the two main characters, and you have one who's pretty OP from the start, and then you have the other one who's not, and then but it's like you can see, right, like where the progression's going to be for the level progression fantasy, right, and RPG is pretty similar, right? So I do think that it is nice to get to, and then he's got like this other third one up here for God tier, and I do think it's interesting. That's kind of like for me how Mortal Kombat 2 was with Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, is like he was like down here like Caleb, and then he had like Sonya and everybody else way up here, and like Liu Kang, and it was cool, right, to like see like, oh, this is eventually where he's gonna be, or where they could be, particularly if they do another installment. So I don't know, I think it's always interesting to be able to see that. Maybe it's the Karate Kid lover in me. I don't know, right? Getting to see like what that progression is going to be, because I know it always makes it interesting, right? Because they're going to get to certain levels, but you want to be able to see how they get there, right? And I think that's where like 1,000 Lee, is really amazing with that.
Yeah,
I think
so
that Tao just does a great job, and I think I'm on like book 4 right now.
Yeah.
I'm on like the second expedition actually. But I know there's going to be certain levels, but it's just so fun getting there. So I think that's what I've seen from, your guys' feedback and stuff.
I'm gonna fanboy cool about 1,000 Lee for a second. That's such a masterpiece.